I love you today.
I love you today.
After the ritual, Saad did not wake up for a long time. The women laid her gently on a mat inside Baba Ajani's hut. Her breathing was slow but steady. The elders watched closely, waiting for any sign that the spirit bond was truly broken. At dawn, Saad finally opened her eyes. The first thing she noticed was the sound of birds. Their songs were loud and joyful, something she had not heard clearly in many days. She sat up slowly, surprised by the strength in her arms. "I feel lighter," she said. The women smiled with relief. "The ancestors have shown mercy," one of them replied. Saad returned to the village later that morning. People gathered to see her. Some were happy, others fearful, and a few whispered behind their hands. "She came back from the dead," someone murmured. "Or maybe the dead followed her back," another said. That night, Saad slept alone in her old family house. For the first time in weeks, the house felt warm again. She slept deeply and dreamed of sunlight and open fields. But on the second night, something strange happened. Saad woke suddenly. The room was cold. She felt it before she heard it, a soft knocking. Knock, knock, knock. Her heart began to race. "Saad," a familiar voice whispered. She sat up, shaking. It was Kunnal's voice. "No," she said aloud. "You are gone." The knocking stopped. The room became warm again. In the morning, Saad told Baba Ajani what had happened. His face grew serious. "The ritual broke the marriage," he said. "But Kunnal's spirit may still be wandering. A spirit that tasted love does not leave easily." That same day, strange things began to happen in Akunla. Goats refused to enter certain paths, children cried for no reason at night. Women found footprints near their doors, footprints that appeared and disappeared suddenly. At night, villagers heard soft footsteps moving through the forest. Fear spread quickly. Some villagers blamed Saad. "She brought this trouble," they said. If she had listened to the elders, none of this would have happened. Saad stayed indoors, her heart heavy with guilt. One night, Kunnal appeared again. This time, he stood inside her room. He looked weaker than before. His body was almost transparent, like morning mist. "I did not come to harm you," he said. "I am losing my place." Saad felt tears fill her eyes. "Then leave," she pleaded. "Please, go and rest." Kunnal shook his head. "The ritual freed you," he said, "but it trapped me between worlds. I can neither return to the dead nor stay among the living." Saad covered her mouth in shock. "Is there anything I can do?" she asked. Kunnal looked at her with sadness. "There is one final thing," he said. "But it is dangerous." The next morning, Saad went to Baba Ajani again. She told him everything Kunnal had said. Baba Ajani sighed deeply. "This is what we feared," he admitted. "A spirit released by love, but not accepted by death." He explained that Kunnal's spirit needed to be fully laid to rest. His grave in the Forbidden Forest had to be reopened, cleansed, and sealed properly. This was something no one liked to do. Disturbing the dead is not taken lightly, Baba Ajani warned. But leaving him like this is worse. The elders agreed. They chose the night of the full moon. That night, Saad walked with the elders into the Forbidden Forest once more. She was stronger now, but fear still lived in her chest. Kunnal appeared beside them silently. "This is where I belong," he said softly, pointing to the mound. The elders began chanting low prayers. They cleaned the grave, removed old symbols that were wrongly placed, and poured fresh water and palm oil on the soil. Saad stood quietly, holding a white cloth. Baba Ajani turned to Kunnal. "Your time among the living is over," he said firmly. "Do you accept rest?" Kunnal looked at Saad one last time. "Yes," he said. "Because love should not steal life." Saad stepped forward and placed the white cloth on the grave. "Go in peace," she whispered. The wind rose suddenly. Kunnal smiled, truly smiled for the last time. "Thank you for loving me," he said. "Now I can rest." Slowly, his spirit sank into the earth. The forest exhaled. The night became quiet. When the elders finished, Baba Ajani sealed the grave with fresh earth and sacred markings. "It is done," he said. That night, Akanla slept peacefully. No footsteps, no whispers, no knocking, and Saad, for the first time since she married a man who was already dead, slept without fear.
I want to make you my wife. I will take care of you. You will never be alone again.
After the final ritual in the forest, life in Akanla slowly returned to normal. The fear that once hung over the village like dark clouds began to lift. Children laughed again in the evenings. Goats wandered freely without stopping suddenly. Women fetched water without looking over their shoulders. And Saad began to live again. At first, it was not easy. She woke up many mornings feeling empty, not weak, just quiet inside. Love had come into her life in a strange way, and it had left behind deep marks on her heart. Sometimes, when the wind passed gently through the trees, Saad thought she heard Kunal's voice. But she did not follow the sound. She remembered his last words. Love should not steal life. Saad returned to farming. She planted yams and vegetables behind her parents' old house. Working with the soil helped her feel grounded. Each seed she planted felt like a promise to herself that she would keep moving forward. The villagers watched her closely. Some still feared her, others admired her strength. One afternoon, a group of women visited Saad. They brought palm oil, dried fish, and warm smiles. "You are brave," one of them said. "Not many would survive what you did." Saad thanked them quietly. Slowly, people stopped whispering when she passed. They began to greet her again. Elders nodded at her with respect. But peace never comes without a test. One evening, Baba Ajani sent for Saad. She arrived at his hut to find several elders waiting. "There is something you must know," Baba Ajani said. He explained that when spirit bonds are broken, traces often remain, not in the land, but in the heart. "You may still be tied by fear," he said, "or by guilt." Saad nodded. "I feel both," she admitted. Baba Ajani leaned forward. "To fully close this chapter," he said, "you must choose life openly." That same week, the village announced a festival to honor the ancestors and celebrate peace. It would be held at night, under the stars. Many people expected Saad not to attend. She had married a spirit. Night once belonged to fear. But on the evening of the festival, Saad stepped out of her house dressed in simple but beautiful cloth. The village fell silent. She walked calmly to the center of the gathering and sat among the people. The drums began. Firelight danced. For the first time, Saad did not feel afraid of the night. Later that evening, a man named Tunt, a hunter from a nearby village, approached her respectfully. He had known her before everything happened, but had kept his distance. "You look well," he said gently. "I am learning," Saad replied. They talked briefly, nothing more, but the elders noticed. Weeks passed. Tunt visited sometimes, always during the day, always respectfully. He never pushed, never questioned her past. One day, he said, "I do not fear your story. Everyone carries one," Saad smiled. But even as life improved, one final sign appeared. Late one night, Saad dreamed. She was standing in a wide field. Kunal stood far away, no longer pale, no longer sad. He did not speak, he simply nodded. When she woke, the air felt calm. No fear followed. Baba Ajani listened carefully when she told him, "That is closure," he said. "The dead has returned to rest, and the living has chosen life." From that day on, Saad slept peacefully. The village learned an important lesson. Love without wisdom can lead to danger. Loneliness can make the heart blind. And traditions exist not to imprison people, but to protect them. Said's story became one elders told children at night, not to scare them, but to teach them. Months drifted by like clouds across the African sky, and the harrowing tale of Sod slowly began to weave itself into the fabric of the village's history, becoming less of a raw wound and more of a cautionary legend. The seasonal rains came, washing the earth clean, and then they went, leaving behind a world reborn in vibrant green. The crops in the fields grew tall and strong, a testament to the relentless cycle of life, death, and renewal. Life in Akunla, as it always does, moved forward. Sod herself transformed, in ways both subtle and profound, ways people could see in her posture and feel in her presence. She no longer walked with her head bowed, her shoulders slumped under an invisible weight of shame or fear. A newfound confidence straightened her spine. She began to greet the elders not with a timid glance, but with a steady, respectful gaze. When she spoke, her voice, once hushed and uncertain, now carried the calm resonance of hard-won wisdom. The fire of her ordeal had not consumed her, it had forged her. Pain had etched new lines on her heart, but it had not shattered it. One cool evening, as the sun painted the horizon in shades of orange and purple, Baba Ajani, the village elder, called everyone together. His voice, though aged, rang with purpose. "It is time," he declared, his words echoing through the quiet compounds, "for this story to be settled properly in the hearts of our people." A sense of importance hung in the air, and soon, the entire village had gathered under the sprawling, ancient branches of the great Iroko tree, the silent witness to generations of their history. Children, their usual boisterous energy subdued, sat close to their mothers, their wide eyes reflecting the flickering flames of the central bonfire. The elders, men and women of deep experience, leaned on their carved staffs, their faces thoughtful. The fire crackled and popped, sending sparks dancing into the deepening twilight, its gentle sounds a counterpoint to the hushed anticipation of the crowd. The night itself seemed to be listening. Baba Ajani stood before them, his presence commanding respect. He spoke loudly and clearly, ensuring every soul could hear his message. "Said's story," he began, his voice firm, "is not one of shame to be whispered in the shadows." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "It is a story of warning. It is a story of survival, and most importantly, it is a story of wisdom." He then recounted the events that had transpired, not to point fingers or reopen old wounds, but to illuminate a universal truth, to teach. He didn't focus on the spectral groom, but on the human heart that had been deceived. "How many times," he asked, his gaze sweeping across the silent faces before him, "have loneliness and a desperate longing for connection pushed good people into the arms of danger? How many of us have felt that ache, that void that makes us vulnerable?" A profound silence answered him. The villagers, in their own hearts, knew the truth of his words. The gnawing ache of loneliness was a familiar ghost to many. Then, Baba Ajani turned his kind, knowing eyes to Sod. "Sod," he said gently, "do you have anything to say to your people?" All eyes shifted to her. Sod rose to her feet, not with the haste of someone anxious, but with the slow, deliberate grace of someone who had made peace with her past. She looked around the crowd, meeting the eyes of her neighbors, her friends, her family. Her voice, when she spoke, was as calm and clear as a moonlit river. "I loved," she said simply, the words carrying no trace of bitterness. "And because I was lonely, I did not ask the right questions. I saw what I wanted to see." She looked toward the dark forest that bordered the village. "I heard the warnings from my own spirit, from the world around me, but I chose to ignore them. I followed my heart, but I left my wisdom behind." She paused, taking a deep breath, letting her truth settle in the quiet air. "But I have learned a painful lesson. Love without life is not love, it is a trap and fear. Fear should never stop us from learning, from growing, from becoming stronger." A murmur of understanding rippled through the crowd, heads nodded in agreement. In that moment, under the ancient Iroko tree, something fundamental shifted in the collective consciousness of Akunla. Sod was no longer the woman who had unknowingly married the dead. She was Sod, the woman who had returned from the brink, the woman who had stared into the abyss and walked away with wisdom as her prize. In time, as if summoned by this newfound peace, Tund, the kind farmer, came again to Akunla. But this time, he did not come alone in the twilight. He arrived in the bright light of day, accompanied by the respected elders from his own village, their presence a symbol of honor and transparency. He asked for Said's hand in marriage, not with hurried whispers, but with the respectful, open formality that tradition demanded. This time, everything was different. Everything was done in the open, bathed in sunlight. Elders were present, their blessings and prayers weaving a protective shield around the union. There were no secrets, no clandestine meetings, no unsettling whispers carried on the night breeze from the forest. Sod, now guided by wisdom and not by desperation, did not rush. She considered his proposal thoughtfully, and she chose with clarity, not fear. Their marriage was simple, peaceful, and grounded in honesty. It was a partnership built not on illusion, but on shared values and mutual respect. And Sod lived a long, full, and happy life. Years later, when she was a mother with children of her own, she would gather them around the firelight, just as Baba Ajani had gathered the village. And she would tell them stories. She told them the story of her own journey, not to frighten them, but to arm them. She taught them that the world is filled with breathtaking beauty and profound love, but also with hidden dangers that often wear a pleasing disguise. She taught them to listen to the wisdom of their elders, to the quiet voice of their own intuition. She taught them patience, the virtue of waiting for what is right, not just what is available. And above all, she taught them that wisdom is the truest compass for the heart. The village of Akunla never forgot the story of Sod and her groom from the forest. It became a living lesson, a powerful reminder that loneliness can blind the heart. And when we are desperate for love, we can easily ignore the red flags waving right in front of us. It taught them that not every gentle voice comes from a safe place, and that we must always seek wisdom, not just fleeting comfort. They learned that the old traditions, the ones that call for openness and community involvement, exist to protect, not to punish. Ignoring that guidance can open doors to unimaginable danger. And they understood, on the deepest level, that true love should give life, not take it. Any relationship that drains your strength, that isolates you, that feeds on your fear, is not love. Said's journey showed them that while wisdom can correct our mistakes, the lessons can be harsh and the tests severe. It is always better to listen early than to suffer later. If you enjoyed this African folktale and found wisdom in Said's powerful journey, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss another story filled with mystery, life lessons, and the timeless wisdom of Africa. Share this story with someone you think needs to hear its message. Thank you for watching, and may wisdom always guide your path.